Good afternoon to everyone. Chancellor of the University, Shri Hari Singh Haria ji, Pro-Chancellor, R.P. Singh Haria ji, Vice Chancellor of the University, Pro-Vice Chancellor, my friend for long, Pritam Singh ji, and my newly acquired friends on the stage, parents of the students, well-wisher of the students, faculty, and above all the students who are graduating today of the university. I am absolutely thrilled to be among you. It's my proud privilege. I did have a tight spot for past few days and wasn't sure whether I'll be able to come to this function or not. But there was an inner urge that I just had to be here, so I'm very pleased to be amongst you. I'm very pleased this university has a tradition of doing the Foundation Day and Convocation Day on the same day. This is a very good way to remember one of the great sons of this country, Lakshmipat Singh ji. I taught for a while in IIT Kanpur as a young faculty member, and of course everybody knows that, but I didn't know this, that the land on which IIT Kanpur was built, or IIT Kanpur where I taught, was completely, but this is not uncommon. It's not very common, it's not very uncommon for someone who is successful, would do things good for society. But it's rather rare the way Singhania family has conducted itself for what everybody calls a social responsibility. This family exemplifies is that when you give something from right hand, your left hand must not know about it. And I'm therefore very proud that I'm here on this occasion. And as has been said, Convocation Day is a very important day in any student life, no exception here. This is the time when you take departure from connections that you've made with the faculty, the friends you've made. Some friends, of course, will remain for life. Some friendships will slowly fade away, but that's a natural consequence of coming together. You also at this time will feel exhilarated, but this is the time when you go out and you will see a world as it were for yourself. You go out from a rather protected environment, and as one would say, not threateningly, but you go and face the world. It also mentioned earlier that the education in which you are the recipient, and some of us are the givers of, is at the crossroad. Well, it's actually truly many things are the crossroad. And education being so fundamentally embedded in development of societies, more than ever before, especially the way technologies have driven our lives and are going to drive our life. So the higher education becomes a very, very important issue. But at the same time, the questions are being raised. The higher education, is there a purpose of it? Is there a role for it? It's being widely debated in our country now, but elsewhere. Why should anybody get higher education? Is it to obtain some skills so that when you walk out of the doors of a university that somebody is ready to give you a job? Is it that the job of a university is to bring a horde of people and train them to obtain a job? Or is why education has a wider implication? I think you should ponder about this. So you will hear things that we should skill students to certain, we should listen to what industry is saying. You would hear pressures on yourself, your parents, everybody pressurized that you are here so that you can have a career, either you start a business. But I wonder if that is what education is all about. A large part, I guess you can say, it's an investment of money and time, therefore it should be rewarded at the end of your education. Fair enough. But is it education is all that? I think education goes beyond this. And let me just expand that a little bit. But let me first come to your generation, especially you as a part of the generation. So something called GER, in India this is a tussle. When Singhania ji must be thinking of starting schools and colleges, the total enrollment in this country in higher education was just 120,000 students in the whole country of a population of 350 million people. Today it might be whatever it is, it's about 3.6 crores. But the point is, when Nehru's and Kalam's and everybody would look at this nation, when British left us, there were 101,20,000 students in all universities that they were. From there, the march today to 3.6 crore, and government, successive governments are committed for the future expansion of higher education to the extent that at least half of our population, half of GER, that is in the age group of 18 to 23, must receive higher education, whatever you may call higher education for. You can define your higher education, but that should be the enrollment. So the size of education as you and I see, and you will be the part of that education. We would have passed on. Most of the people on the stage would have passed on. You would have to take responsibility of that expansion of higher education. And sometimes when we sit as policy makers, honestly I sweat when I think of that in near future the size of higher education should be double of what it is. And then in the same breath you would, in this huge mind-boggling, amazing expansion, the quality of education comes into the fore. So these are some of the things we should ponder. This is not the time. I'll be happy to come another time and have a longer conversation. But point I want to make on this occasion, because you will be exiting at some level education and would be custodian of higher education, in fact custodian of society. And let me say why I say that. You are still the part, 17% of the country youth that has advantage of a physical education, where you've been taught by a teacher. That means 83% of the young generation hasn't had the privilege of that. If that is so, then there is a good case to say that you are a very privileged one. And not only a privileged one to have that has a good higher education in a good university. Your name is associated with the family for the rest of your life, one of the finest family of the country. So you are privileged. And if you are privileged, I personally feel, I was privileged to get education in Delhi University. I come from, my parents are poor, we came from a poor family. But each privilege, to my mind, that you receive must come with a responsibility. I personally feel there should be no privilege without responsibility. So what are the responsibilities? So one responsibility they mentioned, some of you, I would hope that most of you would get into supporting the education. That's what the Vivekananda's dream. Swamiji said, if you are lucky to obtain higher education, your only religion, he used the word religion, your religion is to help others, and especially if you're educated, is to educate others. So these may appear lofty words in the present context in 2019, 2020, but these are very simple instructions from one of the finest sons of the country. So you would hear, and read your books, you'll find India is an ancient civilization. You would hear that there's nothing that this country didn't know how to do. Their medical system was Ayurvedas, your Vedas, your Puran, Upanishad. You would hear all that. That's absolutely true. So the best education centers in the world were in India. Takshila, Nalanda, the whole world came here to be educated. But it isn't so today. So to get back to the rightful place of this country, the champions of that cause can only be you, can only be your generation. It will not be people sitting here who've lost all the hair or the hairs are very grown. It has to be you. So what are the challenges? But let me first say that The higher education system is much maligned. Our school education is bad, our higher education not very good, we don't teach people. Narayan Murthy had famously said half of our graduates cannot be employed, as if that's the job of the education, and so on and so forth. But what should you celebrate about this country? There's enough to criticize about this country. So this country, in the fastest time in the history of all countries, have brought women into education faster than even China. You can get the facts. So those of us who are sitting here, our mothers and grandmothers would not have seen the boundary of a university. But all our daughters, you can search around, you can ask random sample, all daughters today go to the university. So that's achieved in one and a half generation is a major achievement. I'm not going to use the cliche, women can do everything, they can run. They do everything. They are very good at it. They're absolutely wonderful, and that's the greatest achievement. If you ask me one single achievement, I've said this in Oxford in a lecture. What is two achievement? A, we have maintained a democracy with we have had peaceful power passing on from one system to another party, absolutely peacefully, with handshake. How many modern democracy can say that? Not many. There are not many good democracy, and the woman. But then, on the same side, you have amazing challenges. India, you can have world records in many things. For example, is the largest number of tuberculosis cases in this country. Is a tuberculosis. Number of diabetes patients is becoming the world diabetes. The environment, less said the better. The top 10 most polluted cities will be found in India. So the challenges in front of it, there will be no dearth of challenge. While on one side we've got rid of polio, in an amazing campaign in this country. It's an amazing amount of 1 billion people took part into removing polio. But then you have emergence of dengue, emergence of tuberculosis, very bad pollution. Mentioned before, these are the challenges. You're technically qualified. But I guess so technical qualification, picking up challenges will not be a difficult challenge, right? If Prime Minister of the country has to go on television or on Red Fort and say we should clean our country, I think there's something is lost. Of course he's right. But the fact that he would say it and then we will listen, is there something to ponder about? That we should keep us clean, our environment clean, hygiene. I think that's basic job of school and education. So you have to take cudgels from the way we are leaving this. As I said, we have major failures, we have major achievements. Mention was made about moral and ethical values. So when you leave a system, good university like this, what moral and ethical values do you take out from here? Or what is the moral value? What is ethical value? Are these things that have to be taught, that has to be said, or this is something that you can feel in the air? What is right? I think most of us know. What is wrong? Many times when we are doing wrong, we know when we are doing wrong. Of course, there are ethical value of animal experimentation, moral value, whether we should not do this. That's an academic moral value. But by and large, for example, if you're a young faculty, and you have young PhD student, that you should not plagiarize or you should not publish your paper in a predatory journal, it's obvious you should not do it. If that is so obvious, then why it is such a big problem? It is a big problem because of morality problem. So when you move into life, I think for all the times that you will live, you would know morally what is right, what is wrong. And in the same layer, so ethics, of course, is a slightly different matter. Ethics will depend on many other things. But moral ethical values, in the sense that I'm talking, not difficult to judge. What are the other values that will hold you in good stead when you go out? I have, in my own life, watched people who've done well, reasonably well, successfully. I have found no substitute for hard work. If you think the people successful, you take some random name, C.V. Raman or whatever, President Life Sienna Rao, or whatever they be, I'll tell you the trail of hard work will be sweat and blood on their path. These people would have, or Virat Kohli, or P.V. Sandhu, or Saina Nehwal, you name whoever, a wrestler. There's no easy way to success. There should not be any way. Or Singhania Sahib himself, when he would have set up this, that, it's an amazing amount of hard work. So I don't think there's any substitute. So some people, oh, you're very lucky. Maybe there's 1% of luck. But I don't believe this luck business. I think it's just clarity of mind and hard work. The second value which I think I've learned from, I'm a disciple of Ramakrishna Mission, and my guru's the integrity, honesty, integrity in what you do. Is this for me to stop? I'll just finish it. I thought that was an indication I should stop. Okay. So sometime you have to press, because someone, if you give me a mic once, I never stop. So I'll quickly stop. Otherwise, stop doing this. So the other, if you run your business means whatever you do, whether your family, your house, your panchayat, or your village, or whatever. Do it with a sense of honesty, integrity. It's not something really lofty. It can come very easily. You'll do it well. You may not be apparently as successful as the next door neighbor who cheats a little bit. But what you would learn, what will you gain in the process is a fearlessness. These three values bring amazing amount of fearlessness. You should be able to see, not arrogance. Fearlessness and arrogance must not be confused. These are two different things. There is no reason anyone who's educated or has received higher education to be arrogant. That will be loss of higher education. Fearlessness is to be able to say what you think is right, to be able to do what you think is right. That will automatically follow if you have been honest and have a sense of integrity for the institution, for the work, for the family, for the country, for whatever you work for. To me, these three values are extremely important. And as I said earlier, I grew up in a time when the wheat used to come from Mexico. So there was a tag given to India at that time, ship to, you would recall this, the tag given to India was a ship to mouth country by Americans. And famously an American president had said there's no point doing anything in India because this will not survive, because we won't be able to feed ourselves. So we are no longer ship to mouth. In fact, right now, as I speak with you, we grow more food than the whole country needs. We are on top, we are exporters. So you're starting at a point when your fathers, your forefathers were Singhanias, were Chauhans, and all have given a platform from where you should be able to take it to where you rightly deserves. This is what you would hear Prime Minister Modi say. That and a lot of others people, even I believe that. The bad times are over, good times are here now. Don't fear this word. It would appear it's a very complex word. It's a very difficult word outside. Naukri nahi mil raha hai, job nahi mil raha hai, ye nahi ho raha. You're a privileged. I don't think word is it is complicated. Of course there are difficulties. But you are trained to overcome them, and you will overcome them. So when you go out there, embrace this word with both arms. You would find the word would embrace you with both arms. You would cross all the hurdles. There's nothing, this I say with greatest of clarity. Given the talents, given the opportunity you have, anything that you want to do, you will be able to, you'll be capable of doing. Just set your mind to something and go relentlessly. I urge all of you to read Swami Vivekananda. And Swami Vivekananda did a lot of things, but you can read instructions he gives to the youth of this country. It says very clearly, keep your heart, your hands and head, train them. So this is what he said. I'm just not quoting him, but this is your good quality education is it trains your head, your hands and your heart. You get a good quality secular higher education where you have room for all debates, where you have room for listening to somebody else, where you have room, you have talent for making an argument and listening to an argument, and I don't think you can go wrong. So India has its own place. I think these two countries across the Himalayas, the future for this country cannot be but very, very bright. And happily, you people will be part of that. You will be the ambassadors, you will be the creators, you will be the doers of this country. So my best wishes with you. Go out there, do your best, serve the society. Thank you very much.